Our words can speak things into existence, and and we will write history. We've already won. We're the winners. We'll write history.
Right. All
Right?
right.
Like they always say, but the reason I brought that up, Mike, is because it reached a point in time where they're so self-centric that they don't understand that there are people outside of that bubble now staring at them and going, "You people are idiots." Like I'm literally looking right at you, and you're just talking to yourselves now. What are we going to do about these people? Yeah, let's, we like look at how they've tried to manufacture a monster out of guys like Putin and Xi Jinping and the Iranians and everything else. Like they're not actually sovereign nations with their own interests. Like this is sloppy. As bad a man as Henry Kissinger was, he wasn't this stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these people, they have nuclear weapons. No, you're not going to just do whatever you want. No, you don't get to kick the Chihuahua. Now you got to risk kicking a pit bull.
Okay, kicking the Chihuahua.
Getting humiliated in front of the world.
Let's go into something you mentioned earlier. They have defied the U.S. They have defied the U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia and promised revenge. Who are the Houthis of Yemen? In its 20 years existence, the Houthi movement has grown accustomed to ongoing struggles for its Shiite faith and country. Go ahead, Supreme. I know you got quite a bit to talk about on this.
Yeah, they've now exactly the origins of this movement. It seems to me, just from the kind of hardware they're using, that they're supported primarily by Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're Shia, so that would make sense because obviously the two main branches of Islam are the Sunni and the Shia, and Iran is primarily Shia, right? Like the difference between Catholic and Orthodox, right? One is bigger in an area than another, and vice versa, kind of a thing. So they've had Saudi Arabia with American equipment bombing the crap out of them for years. They've had a de facto economic blockade, like sanctions, like crazy. Jordan, I think Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. has participated at least once in a bombing. I mean, you saw videos on YouTube coming out of the capital, Sana'a, and on these other places going back to like 2015, 2016.
Yep. And we've been covering this Yemen...
This heavy-duty ordnance on these people.
Yemen crisis we've been covering on the channel for many years now. And the abandonment of the Americans being kicked out of Yemen caused basically the Yemenis are being punished for shutting down the American air bases and kicking the Americans out, right? And they've been punished ever since.
Yeah,
the Americans,
right. 2014, yeah.
Yeah, and the Americans have been funding Saudi Arabia to go in and basically murder the Yemenis population. And this has been a back and forth problem. And it leads to this article here. Yemen ambassador to Iran, U.S. seeks to spread war across the region. We warn them against any foolish act.
Yeah. And see, of course, the reason that Yemen has gotten so much interest over the years is precisely because of its strategic location, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the British actually operated it as a colony or a protectorate from about 1839 until 1967 when they finally left, and that was why. I mean, all of the important waterways, all the access points, Straits of Malacca, Singapore, and places like that. Like they want control of them. The Panama Canal, places like that. So yeah, when the Yemenis basically told the Marines to get out, in the U.S. is your classic abusive spouse, right?
Right.
It's your crazy ex-wife.
The Yemen ambassador.
So if I can't have you, no one else can, and we're going to destroy you. I mean, they tried to do it to Russia 2 years ago.
That is so selfish. So selfish.
Yeah.
The Yemeni ambassador to Iran and the United States and its Western allies seek to prevent Yemen from supporting the people of Gaza and Israel's genocidal war on the besieged Palestinian territory. And the Americans, in quotes, they're saying here, the Americans seek to expand the scope of the war across the region, although we have already warned them against any foolish act. Delmaya said, adding, the United States is fully responsible for whatever may happen in the Red Sea. And I'm bringing this up for a reason, because this is the side of Press TV reporting this, because nobody really looks at the side of Press TV. They see the Western side of things, and this is actually Iranian state-run media, right? So kind of seeing their perspective on it is kind of important too, and a lot of people lack looking at that.
Well, that's part of the problem too. Yeah, is narrative control means that certain things are kept away from Western audiences. You know, that golden billion are the they're the magical people, right? As long as they're on side, well, you can have your way anywhere in the world. But that's really, really silly, because we stripped manufacturing out of North America to industrialize China because they thought there'd be a buck in it. Basically that's the only reason. Keep wages down here and suppress political opponents by impoverishing them, and then sending it all to China. Brilliant stuff, until China finally gets to the point to go, yeah, we're not going to listen to you anymore.
Right.
Right. Like, they play these games, guys, and it's true. They're but they're not smart.
Mm-hmm.
They're really not that smart. Where the Houthi thing is geostrategically, and relating it. I mean, ultimately, it's the Houthis that are relating it to Gaza, right? They're standing with the Palestinians in Gaza. That's why they're doing this. They don't actually have to get into a full-blown shooting war with the U.S. Navy. I mean, they've hit a couple of they've hit a tank, at least one tanker, and a couple of container ships. They have said that they've hit at least one U.S. Navy ship, and they said they sunk it. I don't know about that, but interestingly, the U.S. Navy reports that they lost a couple sailors overboard off the coast of Somalia. Well, if you look at a map, I mean, off the coast of Somalia is also off the coast of Yemen.
That's correct.
So, I think they're playing games there with the reporting. But they've accomplished the main thing. The insurance agencies are not going to insure ships passing through a war zone, which means now they have to bypass the Bab el-Mandeb and they have to go around Africa.
Right. The old Portuguese route.
Right. And the old Portuguese route, yeah, Cape of Good Hope. And the Americans actually did it. Because up to that point, until they launched that big Tomahawk strike and bombing run, it wasn't technically a war zone. But now that the UK and the US have actually actively bombed Yemen, right? Mm-hmm. Now their game has kind of been turned on them. Now they're the ones who have declared war, and all the Houthis have to do is just sit in their dugouts and lob the odd shell, the odd they have cruise missiles. They're not real high tech stuff, but they're probably Chinese knockoffs of Soviet knockoffs. Whatever, they'll get the job done. Maybe the U.S. Navy can shoot them down, but Maersk container lines can't. So where are they going to go? They're going to go around Africa.
Right.
So that adds 10 days of shipping, an extra 9-10 days of sailing time, and about a 50% increase per container shipping costs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the Houthis have to do. Well, how come there are a bunch of dirt poor guys in sandals going boo-loo-loo-loo, with a bunch of $5,000 drones? What do you mean these brown people are stopping world trade? Well, they're not stopping it, but if there's one thing that America and Europe cannot absorb right now, it's more inflation. And these guys have just put a huge air bubble in the supply line.
Mm-hmm. And we've been discussing this federalization of transport and the logistic disruptions coming and stuff. And I gotta check the timestamp on when we talked about that, but that was a whiles back now. But yeah, they're gonna. Mm-hmm. It's like, this reminds me of the January 6th or January 9th incursion. They're just blowing this up bigger than it is. And now in the whole January 9th thing in the States, or January 6th or whatever it is, they're trying to say that if you're on the lawn now, you're going to go to jail. If you're standing on the lawn of the Capitol building, you're going to go to jail. We covered that last week. But So
they're doubling down.
Quadrupling down now.
Well, yes, they don't have a reverse gear. All they can do is double and triple and quadruple down. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
there's apparently some people for it's primary season. Obviously, it's election year, and in I think it's Iowa, which is one of those pivotal states, right? Apparently, some of the older election workers have been getting calls saying, "Yeah, it's going to be dangerous. Don't go." Right? Like someone's calling them and threatening them. Like this thing is, we're not halfway through January, and this thing is going to be red hot. Like
Oh,
it's going to be
we
a
just
wild
started
year.
2024, and
Yeah.
we've made. I'm what I'm doing is I'm actually taking the time to break down certain aspects of
Yeah.
2024 and trying to explain to people in a bigger. I'm going to show you here in the videos that just so people can understand. Now that we are here speaking together, I'm just going
Mhm.
to go real quick and basically
Yeah.
this one here, digital smash and grabs are going to be happening. And this is a major one from 2 days ago. Unfunded mandated liabilities will spark civil unrest, and U.S. will globally default on purpose. So I believe that mandated liabilities, and they're going to start. And I asked in the video, what do you think is going to go first? I think that the old age pensioners will go first. Then the war vets will go second, where they'll lose their pensions because they're these mandated liabilities that the governments can't pay, right? And then it was
Hmm.
the EBT and welfare was going to go next, and basically that's one
Yeah.
there. And then after I said Latin Spring of summer 2024, civil unrest in South America to spread around the world. So I believe there's going to be a Latin Spring. And then I believe also another thing that's going to happen, we posted this 3 days ago, an artificial physical currency shortage to come summer of 2024, and they're going to blame us for it. They're going to blame us because they're going to say we're hoarding cash, and then they're going to be
Yeah.
removing bank machines that are going to make it impossible for us to get physical currency. So I'm kind of
Hmm.
building the predictive model and kind of answering to it on why I think this is going to happen and how it's going to kind of break down piece by piece.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're reading the tea leaves here, right? I mean, we're looking at the patterns of things that have happened before, the things that are going on in the world, and I mean, I'm no economist, but you're trying to look at the flow of trade and where people's attention span is going, and it gets more and more like a goldfish, which is a problem for us people trying to have normal lives, but it's also a problem for them too. I mean, the thing is, they order out of chaos. Well, they're good at creating the chaos, but I don't think they can create order for shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the basics of operating a civilization. That's obvious. We're talking about the inbred, perverted, drug addicted grandchildren of the people that set all this up 100 years ago. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
how many family businesses do you know of that survive more than three generations? You know
Understood.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like yeah, there's yeah, Sandy, CIA psyop, sure. Yeah, there's all kinds of psyops going on. And how many people online, somebody says something, you go, oh, you're a Fed. Yeah, Fed's glowing in the chat, and send them a meme or something like that, right?